everyone, and welcome to Make It on Mondays. I hope that I am live and that you can all hear me. I am just double checking my setup because last week we had a little bit of an issue with technology, so I just want to make sure that it's all good. Shutting some applications. All right, perfect. I think we are good. All right, so beautiful. Talking about acupressure. And for those that don't know me, my name is Louise Jeffrey, and I'm an acupuncturist, a practitioner of Chinese medicine. I'm a mindset coach, and I'm a hypnotherapist. And I have a passion for helping people to live and create the life they deserve to live. So I am just double checking because, yes, I am live. Perfect. All right, I hope you can all hear me. If you guys are on, I would love to know that you're on. Just send me a message, send me a comment so that I can see, or just send me a wave or send me a hi so that I know that you guys are there, because it can feel a little bit lonely out here sometimes. All right, so today we're going to talk about acupressure. Now, I love this topic because it's one that we can share with you, and you can go and you can use the techniques and the points that we're going to teach you. You can use them at home, so you can actually start doing your own acupressure at home, which for a lot of people can really feel quite empowering. So we're going to spend about 20 or 30 minutes together today, and in that 20 or 30 minutes I'm going to share a whole lot of information with you. If you've got any questions along the way, please let me know in the comments box. And if there's anything that I share here today that resonates with you, please let me know. If there's anything that you're not sure about, please let me know. And that, whether you're on live or whether you're on recording, it doesn't actually matter. We would just love to know if you've got any feedback or any comments on this topic. All right. So today I'm going to talk about what acupressure is. I'm going to talk about how it works and how we do it. And then I'm also going to share with you 10 points that you can use at home to help boost your fertility. Now, before we start, I just want to be clear that what I'm going to be talking about today in terms of acupressure is mainly from a Chinese medicine perspective. Yeah. And I'm not going to make any lavish claims about what acupressure can help to do. I'm really just going to talk about what these acupressure points are known to do from a Chinese medicine perspective. Right? When we either insert a needle at the site or whether we use acupressure, it doesn't really matter. The actions and the functions for those acupressure or acupuncture points are the same. So what is acupressure? Well, this ancient Asian technique is actually really powerful. It's more powerful than we think, and it can be really simple to learn. Now, acupressure is actually a type of bodywork therapy, and it was developed over 5,000 years ago in Asia. And what it does is it utilizes finger pressure at specific points to help guide the body to heal or to balance itself. Now, these specific points on the body are areas where nerves and muscles and connective tissue can be stimulated to produce specific physiological effects. So, for example, if we're trying to treat anxiety, we would use points that are known to calm the mind and to sedate the central nervous system. And then on top of that, and maybe even more importantly, the acupressure points are located in areas where a person's chi or their life force can be accessed as well. And that's really what acupressure or acupuncture points are. They are areas where on the body where our chi or our life force can be accessed and can be influenced. So if we choose the points well and we apply proper technique, then acupressure can help in improving things like hormone imbalance, anxiety and depression, insomnia, pain, low energy. It can be used to encourage labor, right? And there are many, many, many more uses that I don't have time to talk about today, but those are some of the more common ones. All right, so let's have a little look and see. I'm just double checking if anybody is on here. I can see someone's on, but I just can't see who it is. It's not coming up with a name. Anyway, whoever you are, hi. Beautiful to have you on with us today. All right. So today I'm actually going to share with you some acupressure points that help to regulate your hormones and to boost your fertility, right? And I'm going to teach you a technique that you can easily learn and you can do on yourself at home. So how does acupressure actually work? Well, like acupuncture, acupressure comes from traditional Chinese medicine. And although acupuncture is actually more widely known, some sources actually suggest that acupressure may predate acupuncture by about 2,500 years. Now, acupressure and acupuncture, as well as other therapies such as shiatsu and reflexology, are based on the concept that a person's energy or life force, or otherwise known as our qi, right, travels through the body and along pathways called meridians. Now, the way that I like to describe the meridians to my patients is that these meridians are they're very closely mapped to the central nervous system, but they're really like rivers of qi, right? Rivers of blood. And they're responsible for the flow of qi around our body. Now, when we have a block in the flow of our qi or our blood, either because we've got a deficiency or because there's a stagnation, right, or a stasis as we call it, when we have a blockage, what happens is that we end up with discomfort in the body or even disease. And so to release the blocked energy or the blocked qi, or to promote the energy flow in a certain area, we press on that acupoint. Does that make sense? I hope so. All right. So to understand this from a more Western medical perspective, we know that a number of recent studies were conducted really to investigate the use of acupressure in the temporary relief of both nausea and headache pain. And what some of these studies actually suggest is that applying pressure to certain points causes the brain to release more endorphins, right? Now, we know that acupuncture blocks the pain receptors to the brain, and we know that stimulating acupressure points, right, may well help to release more endorphins. And what endorphins are is they're basically small proteins that act as a natural painkiller, and they make us feel good. Yeah? Okay. So how do we do acupressure, right? What is the technique of acupressure? Well, doing acupressure on yourself is actually really simple. In fact, you've probably already used acupressure in the past without actually knowing that you've done it. So if you've ever pressed on both sides of your temples, right, to decrease a headache, for example, then you've actually done it before. Now, that acupressure point on the side of your head, on your temple, right, that's one of the most commonly used acupressure points, and we use it for acupuncture as well, to relieve headache pain. So I'm going to share with you a little story. When I was growing up, my mum was always into alternative therapies. So before medicating, she would always want to try something alternative. And one day, as a teenager, I remember I came home from school and I had a cracking stress and hormone headache. And I remember my mum sitting me down outside in the fresh air, and she pressed firmly on a point between my first two fingers, right? What we know as large intestine 4. And she pressed on this point between my first and second fingers, and she asked me to do the same, right, on my temples. And what happened is that after about 3 or 4 minutes, and to my amazement, the pain had started to recede. And after 10 minutes, it was completely gone. And afterwards, I remember being in total awe of this technique, right? And when I asked my mom, like, how did she learn this? She told me it was an acupressure technique that she learned from her yoga teacher, right, to combat her own headaches. And that was my first introduction into just how powerful acupressure can actually be. And of course, I went on from there to study Chinese medicine. So coming back to how do we do acupressure? Well, once you've chosen your specific points, your acupressure points, which we're going to talk about point location a little bit later on, what we do is we apply direct finger pressure to each area. Now, this pressure should be strong enough that it feels like a good type of sore sensation, right? But never too painful. So what it is that you'll want to provide a firm and steady pressure to each acupressure point for about 1 to 2 minutes minimum. I like to use slightly longer, sort of 3 to 4 minutes. And I actually like to use a slight circular motion, right, on the acupressure point. So if you can see, I'm just going to move my camera over slightly so you can see. If you can see what I'm doing here, I'm actually doing it in a slight circular motion, round and round, right? If that's not too painful, that's something that you can do as well. It's really, really up to you and how you actually feel and how your body feels with the acupressure. Now, if you're trying to conceive, there are going to be some points that we'll want to avoid after ovulation or if you're pregnant. And I'm going to make sure that when we go through the points, I'll let you know which are the ones that you're going to want to avoid after ovulation and which are the ones that you can use all the way through. All right, so let's move on to the fun stuff. We're going to talk about our top 10 acupressure points for boosting your fertility. And the points that I'm going to discuss are all useful, right, when preparing your body for pregnancy. And they're all points that you can reach on your own. You don't have to have someone else to do them. And they're all located on the front side of your body. So the first 5 points can be stimulated anytime, right? But with the last 5 points, I'm going to tell you to avoid doing acupressure on these in pregnancy or in the luteal phase if you're actively trying to conceive, right? And this is because they have a direct impact on the uterus, which is over the abdomen. And obviously once we're pregnant, we don't want to overstimulate this area. So the first 5 points are for any time during your cycle, but the second 5 points are only for the first part or the follicular part of your cycle. So before ovulation or before embryo transfer. Okay, all right. So let's start with point number 1. Point number 1 is called Yin Tang. Now this point, and I'm going to, before I move into the points, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to put all of this, I've made a PDF for you guys, and I'm going to make it available. And if you like this PDF, of all the points that I'm going to talk through now, it'll have the point location, it'll have a picture of where the point is, and it'll have its functions and uses, and it'll tell you when you can and can't use it. Just make sure that you let me know by saying "me please" in the comments box, and I'll make sure that I get that sent off to you, that PDF. So our first point is called Yin Tang, and this point is located directly between the eyebrows at the third eye location, right? Now this point is really, really useful for stress, for anxiety, for insomnia, and it's really excellent for calming the mind. Now we all know that stress is really unhelpful for fertility. So this point is great for reducing stress. So if you need help focusing mentally, then this is a really good point to stimulate as well. Okay, so that's our first point. It's called the Yin Tang, and it's right between the eyebrows. Now our second point, second acupressure point for fertility, is called liver 3. Now this point is located on the top side of the foot in the webbing between the first and second toe. So it's in exactly the same point as where I've put Li4 I was talking about earlier. Liver 3 is on your feet, but in the same point. So I'm actually going to find it for you on my little sheet here, and I'm going to show it to you. All right, so if you lift this up, I don't know if you can see where point number 3 is. There. Whoopsie, move across there. So it's pretty much in the webbing between the toe. You kind of come up, and a lot of you will notice that it's in fact quite painful or a little bit tender when you press on that point. For some people who have a certain constitution, it's actually a little bit tender. Okay, so this point is really helpful for regulating your menstrual cycle. It benefits the ovaries and the uterus. It helps build the blood, and it also helps with headaches, with stress and anxiety, and with insomnia, right? So this is a great point for just calming the central nervous system, but it also regulates the menstrual cycle and benefits the ovaries and the uterus. So that point is called liver 3. Now the third point is called stomach 36, and this is probably the most well used and well known point in traditional Chinese medicine. And this point is located below the kneecap, about 1 finger breadth outside of the bony edge of your lower leg bone or your tibia. All right, so I'm going to show you where it is on my little sheet here. All right, so if you look at my sheet, you'll see, I wonder if you can see it in the light. Maybe not so easily. All right, this is going to be on the PDF, because I realize that it's actually not showing up super well. But essentially, it's where you come down off your knee bone. I'm actually going to show you on my man. It's probably a better idea. All right. So if here's the acupuncture man. I don't know if you guys can all see him. I hope you can. I can see that it's a little bit light. But if we come down off the knee, right, to the bottom of where we feel the knee bone, and we feel that there's a ridge, and we come off it, and we come just to the outside, right? There's a squishy bit. It's about 1 finger breadth lateral, as we say, or to the outside of your tibia. Okay, all right. So this stomach 36, as I said, it's a universal point, and it's a wonderful point to build your vital life force, or your chi and your blood. It's also a really great point to stimulate for women over 35. So if you're over 35 and you're trying to conceive, it's really, really good, because it benefits what we call in Chinese medicine the kidney yin and the kidney yang. And it's also a point that helps to calm the spirit and balance the emotions. All right, so that's a really, really good point for fertility, but it's also a great one for really stimulating your chi or your life force. The 4th point out of our 10 today is called kidney 9. Now this point is actually directly translated as called the beautiful baby point, and it's said that when this point is used, it helps produce a beautiful baby. Now the location is on the lower part of the inner leg, about 1/3 of the way between the inner ankle and the knee. All right, and I'm just going to show you where it is on my man here. Right, so if it's on the inside of the leg, if we come to the ankle bone and we move up, it's on the inner side of the leg, more towards the back. We're going to go about 1/3 up between the knee, which is here, and the ankle bone. All right, and you'll see when I give you the PDF, it'll be much clearer for you than you can see on this acupuncture man at the moment. This point is great for calming the mind, but it's also useful with anxiety and fear, and it also helps to build the blood. It's a great point. It's a very gentle point, but it's a great point that you can use in pregnancy as well, but great for fertility too, and it helps to build the blood in the body. Now the 5th point is called Ren 12, and this point is located on the upper abdomen. Now I'm going to talk about the Ren channel, right, or the conception channel as we call it in Chinese medicine. And it's a really important channel for both female and male fertility. And what it does is it runs up and down the center and the front of the body. It runs from the genitals all the way up to the chin. And we're going to focus on the points on the Ren channel just above and just below the belly button. All right. So this particular point is located a hand's width above the belly button. So if you take, here's my man, if you take your, if we find the belly button, which is there, and say this was a life-size model, you put a hand's width, that's including your thumb, above the belly button. Right, and that point is called Ren 12. Now this point is great because it benefits the uterus and the ovaries, and it helps to regulate the chi or the life force. It's also a really useful point if you have issues with digestion, such as bloating or gas or reflux. So if you have any digestive issues, this is a really, really good point for that. All right, so that's our first 5 points. Now the next 5 points I'm going to share are to be used with caution after ovulation or embryo transfer, or if you're pregnant, because they can be a little bit too stimulating of the uterus. But they're great to use in the first part of your cycle, right? In fact, they're fantastic as follicular phase points, as we say. All right. So the 6th point of our 10 is Ren 3. Now this is on the same channel as Ren 12, and it's located where Ren 12 is located 1 hand's width above the belly button. Ren 3 is 1 hand's width below the belly button, right? And this point regulates the menstrual cycle, it benefits the uterus, and it benefits the ovaries, and it helps to build the reproductive chi of the body. All right, so it's a really good, nourishing and tonifying point. The 7th point of our 10 is Ren 4. This is just above Ren 3, and it's on the same line as Ren 12 and Ren 3. But this time it's about 4 finger widths. So instead of including the thumb, we're only including the 4 fingers. It's 4 finger widths below the belly button. And what this point does is it assists, it benefits the uterus, but it's especially useful for older women trying to conceive, so anyone above 35. And it also strongly helps to build the chi or the life force of the body. So again, very strongly tonifying point. Then the 8th point in our 10 along the same line is called Ren 6. And this point is located on the same conception channel line, but it's only 2 finger widths below the belly button. All right. And this point, its name translated is Sea of Chi. So it's especially important in building up the chi of the body, and it helps to build our body's reserve tank, right? It also helps to build the blood, to regulate the hormones, and it treats a large variety of gynecological disorders. So we use this point a lot in fertility treatment. So those are REN 12, REN 4, REN 12, REN 3, REN 4, and REN 6, all on the same line on the conception channel. It's really important when we're dealing with fertility to make sure that the chi and the blood are regulated through this conception channel. All right. Now, our second to last point in our 10 is an extra point, and it's called Zigong. Now, this point's name translated is called the Palace of the Child, and it's one that is used often with fertility, often used around ovulation because it's directly above the ovaries. So it's located in the lower abdomen again, but this time, not only is it about a full hand's width below the belly button, where we found REN 3, but it's also another hand's breadth lateral to this on either side of the stomach. So we come from the belly button, we come down a hand's width, and we come out a hand's width. Yeah, and then you'll see that there's kind of a little crease just below your hips that's coming slightly in, right? So when you go level with REN 3 and across to that line, that's where our Zigong is. Now, what Zigong does is it regulates the menstrual cycle. It benefits the uterus and the ovaries, regulates the chi, but it's also, as I said, it's a great point to use at ovulation because it's directly above the ovaries, right? And it promotes ovulation. And I often suggest that my patients use moxa on this point. Moxa is a stick that we burn, or the mugwort herb. And we give people moxa sticks to take home and to burn at around ovulation, to burn over Zigong, to warm the uterus and to promote the flow of blood. And then last of all but not least, and one of the most important points in boosting fertility, is a point called Spleen 6. Now this point is located on the inner part of the lower leg, not too far away from kidney 9, but slightly more medium or medial, as we say. It's about 4 finger widths above the inner ankle, right? So where we had the kidney channel, where kidney 9 was closer to the Achilles, Spleen 6 is slightly further in. It's kind of medial, right? And as we come up from the ankle bone, all right, or as we say, the medial malleolus, which is the inner ankle bone, we want to take 4 finger widths above the ankle bone, right? And that's where Spleen 6 is. Now this point is widely used for regulating the menstrual cycle, for stimulating blood flow to the uterus and the ovaries. We use it a lot for when we're trying to induce ovulation, but it's also great for calming the mind. And so it's really useful if you're experiencing any anxiety or stress or even insomnia during your cycle. And just remember, like the last 4 points, we only use this point in the luteal phase of our cycle if we're actively trying to conceive. And we avoid it with pregnancy because it's also used to encourage labor. All right, so that is our 10 points, our 10 best acupressure points for fertility. Now, as I said, if you'd like the PDF with all the points and their uses and locations, then please type me, please, in the comments box, and I'll make sure that I get that sent to you by the end of today. And I'm just going to have a look and see if we've got any more comments on here. Hi, oh, the names have come up. Hi, Amy. Hi, Liz. Thank you for the lovely story. It's a pleasure, my love. Good to see you both on here. All right, so that is really it for today. We've talked about what acupressure is. We've talked about how to do it. We've talked about 10 different points that you can use at home, and I hope this has been really, really useful for you. I love acupressure because, as I say, I find it really, really empowering. And if you notice that any acupressure points are a little bit tender for you, just know that in Chinese medicine, that means that you actually need to stimulate them more. We call those Ashi points when they're tender. So obviously be gentle. It doesn't have to be sore, but if you notice that they're tender, the more you can gently stimulate those points on your body, the better. Okay, so we can start to stimulate what we call De Qi, which is the stimulation of the life force and the blood, in that meridian. All right, so I think that's it for now. I hope I've inspired you guys to start doing acupressure at home. Next week, I think Amy's back, and I'm not sure what her topic is, but she will be sharing it with us later on during this week. And I'm at some point going to be talking about how to improve male fertility. Beautiful, beautiful topic, and really, really enjoy it. It's a lot simpler actually for men than it is for women. But I'm really going to chat to you guys about how we can help to improve male fertility, what are the kinds of things we see in clinic, and how acupuncture can help. But also what your partner, if if you're on here and you've got a partner that's male and wants to know how to improve his fertility, or you want to know how he can improve, or you can help him to improve his fertility, we'll talk about lifestyle, we'll talk about acupuncture, we'll talk about supplements, etc. When we get to talk about male fertility. And that's it. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day, have a beautiful week, and I will see you all soon. Bye for now.